Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're out pond fishing in the kayak in North Georgia, and we have got beautiful conditions. I'm on a brand new fishery. Two awesome guys gave me access to come in here, and we're just gonna check it out. It's a brand new lake. I'm really excited. Fall bass fishing is a great time to catch numbers and to catch big ones. So hopefully we get a shot at a good one today. Boy, in just a matter of a couple of days, fall has really arrived. I mean, we're down here in Georgia. You can see the fog behind me. That is because the water is significantly warmer than the air. I couldn't tell you what the water is. It's pretty warm though, almost swimmable. But the air temps when I got out of the truck were 47 degrees. It's a brisk morning. That should have these fish in full feed mode, I hope. Now, I've never been to this place. It's a beautiful pond. It looks pretty big. We're just gonna check it out. I've got a big rat tied on, a chatterbait, and a frog to start. And then when the light gets up, I can really see what we're facing. Maybe we'll adapt. Let's get to fishing. Oh, something just bumped the rat while it was sitting there. It just bumped it, almost like a bluegill, or didn't act like a bass, that's for sure. Little guy. Hey buddy, he choked it. Well, that bass is black. Nice little fish to get us started. That's the important part. So he just ate, that's a jackhammer. I went with a bluegill jackhammer. Then I went with that swim on the back and that bright, bold green pumpkin chartreuse. So I was actually just sitting here thinking, it's been about a half an hour. I haven't seen a fish yet. I hadn't had a bite. That changes everything. I got a bite. That makes me feel a lot better, right? But about a half hour in on any new fishery, that's where the head games start up. You had a plan. You don't know if it's right or not, but you always go out with a plan. My plan was, I don't know what's in here, but I had talked to Galen and Bob ahead of time. Those are the guys that got me on here, and they had said that the pond had flooded. We had a brutal rain about a week ago. So this thing had flooded pretty good. So that was all the information I had. I didn't know if it would be muddy, if it would be clear, if it would be super high up in the forest, what it was going to be. So I tied a rat on, a PB rat, because anytime the bank gets flooded, a lot of those little critters end up in the water, right? So anytime it floods, I learned this on the California Delta, anytime we had a king tide out there, a really big tide, the rat bite would just go off. So anytime a pond or a lake floods, that's a great time to throw a rat. Other than that, I'm thinking it's a pond, you can't go wrong with bluegill. So I went with that bluegill chatterbait, and then I went with a bluegill colored frog, and then we'll adapt from there. Half hour in, just got the first bite. Obviously not the biggest bass in the world, but he was right up on the outside edge of, I'm gonna call it a grass line, but really what it is the outside edge of the normal shoreline. I think this is the actual grass line. The grass I'm seeing up here that's flooded is normally on the bank. So he was right out here on the natural shoreline, which is interesting. The place is flooded, but the water's receding. It's coming back down. So I'm gonna keep that rat on. Obviously, there's not a lot of new critters ending up in the water as water's dropping, right? That happens as it goes up, but the rat is still an awesome option most of the time, and especially on a pond. So hopefully we can build on that. That's the first sign of a bass I've seen. I've seen a bunch of boils, but they didn't look like bass. I've seen a lot of turtles, but that was a good start. Let's keep going. There we go. Hey buddy, that's a good fish. We'll take that one. Look at that frog in there. You think he wanted that bluegill? My goodness. It's that fat frog. All the way down. Thank you. All right, guys, we are going to take an unexpected break here right at prime time because I just looked down and realized I don't have my life jacket on. Genius move here, but it is a big enough deal and it is important enough that I am going to miss part of the prime time window. I just left fish blowing up back here in this grass bed to go and get my life jacket because the water is cooling down. You know, it's always important to have it on, but as water gets cooler, it becomes critically important to have it on. So we are gonna stop and go back to the truck and get it, and then we'll keep fishing. It's not the first time I've ever forgotten my life jacket, but hopefully it's the last. It really is critically important when you're kayaking. So I hate to leave biting fish, but it matters that much. Now, I wear an inflatable because it's comfortable. See how small the back piece is, and it's paper thin, so it's really easy to wear. But it doesn't matter what kind of life jacket, just make sure that you've got one on. With that, we're gonna get this old town back in the water and try and catch some more fish. Golly. First cast back with the frog. Guess we shouldn't have put that down. Awesome. Oh, darn it. Missed him. That one bit. Hopping a chatterbait on the bottom. I saw some bubbles come up out here in the middle of the pond. Threw right to the bubbles. Started hopping bottom. Donk. There he was. I blew it, but he did his job. So this time of year in the fall, you've got a lot of grass that'll start dying back, and it is off gassing during that process. So there's a lot of these little microscopic bubbles laying on all that stuff on the bottom, especially in a place like a pond where it's kind of dead water, where it's still water. So if you pay attention, you will see if a fish hits something on the bottom, a poof of bubbles will come up. Or if you spook a fish, you'll see a poof and then you'll see a trail that follows for a few feet. It is literally where the fish's tail hits the bottom, those bubbles start rising up and it leaves a little path. So if you're paying attention, you can see that one, there's a fish there, and two, you can even see what direction they're going just by watching those little bubble trails. I'm only in, I'm guessing, I don't know, I'll tell you, Let it sink here. Once I get my leader connection out. I am in about 6 foot of water. So those bubbles can make it to the surface with plenty of time for me to still get ahead of that fish. That time it almost worked. There we go. Nice fish. That big old fish ate a mag draft. Hey buddy, come here. Oh man. That's a big old bass right there. Hey girl. That is amazing. Man, I'm so glad I got the opportunity to come here. She smashed it. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, get out of here. Unreal. I'd already caught a few fish, and I went over and I was talking to Galen about the watercolor, and I asked if it's always this stained, because right now there's maybe 8 inches of visibility. And he said that no, it's typically pretty clear, which shortened my learning curve a ton, right? Then you know these fish aren't used to the muddy water. They're going to behave differently than if this is their normal. So I went to that guy right there in that bold, bright color. Squad, Savage Gear Squad swimbait rod. And it didn't take 4 or 5 casts. Hopefully we're onto something. We definitely just caught our kicker for the day. But I would love to catch another one. That would be awesome. But great big fish, and she smashed that thing. Fishing it on a 6/0 beast hook. She inhaled it. Well, it definitely seems like a light switch has flipped here midday. This morning, the bite was happening. Everybody was catching fish. We caught some big ones. That was awesome. And then just like a light switch, flatline. Nothing really happening out on the surface of the water, not getting any bites. I'm gonna take one more crack at them before I just call it a day. See, this time of year, low light can be a major factor. A lot of people don't fish at all this time of the year. They're in the woods, they're hunting, they're doing other things. You don't realize what you're missing. I mean, I caught a great big one this morning. There's a lot of other places I could have been, but I'm really glad I was right here. Now, that said, low light being key, you can still catch them midday. So there's a fair bit of grass here. I caught a couple of frogfish this morning out of that grass. I'm gonna put on a creature bait and I'm gonna flip that grass for a little bit before I call it a day, because these fish haven't gone somewhere, right? I'm in a pond. It's a big pond. It's probably a few hundred yards long. I mean, it's big, but the fish, they didn't leave. It's shallow. I'll bet, I don't have my depth finder on here at the moment, but just dipping a bait, I would guess the deepest water I've been in all day is 6 to 7 foot. So they're still here. My guess is they've sucked up against the grass. I'm gonna try flipping for a little while, just be methodical, see if I can't get one doing that, and we might be able to still get a midday thing going before we call it a day, or at least catch one more to wrap it up. We'll see what happens.
I think I want that guy right there. That's an ounce. I think an ounce will get through any of this. I'm almost tempted to go 3/4 actually. Let's go 3/4. And then, you see, this is my kayak terminal box. So it's a mix, right? Swim bait heads, underspins, shaky heads, Ned heads, wacky hooks and drop shot hooks, and then some weights, wobble heads, weedless swim baits, and then just worm hooks. So we're just gonna kind of pick through. That's a 3/0 jungle wide gap. It's almost too big because I'm trying to be a little more subtle. I think I'm gonna go with that. We'll be a little more subtle. We'll just pick our way through here and try and pluck a fish off. Little downsized punch rig. There we go. Oh, he came off. Darn it. That was a good fish. Well, the plan worked. Didn't get him in the boat, but it worked. There we go. Nice fish. That's what I'm talking about. Come here. That's the one we're gonna end the day on right there. What an awesome day. We were able to adapt right there at the end. Get one more good one by flipping that grass. I downsized because I'm not on a lake, so I don't have 1,000 places I could go mirror the pattern, right? I had to take the most advantage of every spot. So I went with that Packa Slim in the smaller size, the 3/4 weight, a 3/0 hook, and it worked. All right, guys, it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed coming along on the kayak today. I don't do enough of this. You know, the kayak guys always ask for more kayak stuff. The bass boat guys always ask for more bass boat stuff. The jet boat guys, they ask that we sell our jet boat and stop talking about the rivers. But seriously, all those different boats, they're all tools, right? They all help us reach different fish. I could not have caught any of these fish today out of a bass boat. The kayak was perfect for this scenario. I was able to spot lock and pick that grass apart, but I was able to get into a place where you just couldn't get a boat. And this has been an amazing day. I didn't hear a single outboard today. Completely peaceful. The only breaks in the silence were all of us hooting about big fish, or big fish grenading that topwater. That was the only time that the silence was broken. It's just incredibly peaceful out here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll link all the different baits, the gear, my kayak, my life jacket that I finally remembered to go back and get. All those different things, I'll link those down in the video description for you. Again, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.